Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this past week's trades in the weekly recap. Before I get into the recap, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you've done so already. Good week. First week of 2024. Short week too. Monday we had off, New Year's. 14 wins, 1 loss. Definitely a great way to start the week. So I'm very pleased about that. Short weeks usually aren't my week, but the last 2 short weeks, Christmas and this past week, just been killing it. So I'm not going to complain whatsoever about that. Traded Ideas room on Tuesday. The second said SPY puts in a 471.50. Had this massive drop in the early morning. I don't remember what the was about. Maybe it was about China. I don't really remember. So 71.50 was down here at lower day, pre-market low, and it was probably up here. First 10-minute candle was red. I was looking at puts to the downside. So when the first 10-minute candle formed, a nice solid red candle, I looked at puts on lower day. As soon as it broke lower day, I grabbed the 47.35 puts 810, and they went from 810 to 1090. So I'm very happy about that. Then I grabbed puts again at 1031, which is probably right here. Yeah, right when it broke lower day. Bounced up, tried to break high day. It didn't, rejected, came back down. And when it broke below this 471.40 area, I grabbed puts. I grabbed the 47.35 puts again at 840 this time. And they went from 840 to 910. Kind of got fake out, didn't really do anything. So I switched to calls at 1111, which is right here when it came up through VWAP and broke over this area where you have the body. Right at the 472.30 area. When it broke over that, I grabbed calls. So I grabbed the 47.40 calls at 750, and they went from 750 to 1420. So that ended up being a good play. But it failed to break higher day. It broke lower day, but quickly got bought back up. So it's ranging right now. So probably was taking out the people probably jumped in calls. They broke lower day to take out the calls, the stops and the calls, because people would have the stop loss down here. They took out the stops and they ran it. So typical market maker bullshit that they always play. So you got to be careful of that. Then I took puts again at 240, which is right here when it broke lower day. For some reason I grabbed it down here. I should have grabbed it up here, but it is what it is. I grabbed it when it broke lower day down here. I took the 47.40 puts at 790, and they went from 790 to 1740 right there. So it ended up being a really, really good play. I started out the week on a nice 4-win day, so I'm not going to complain about that. Wednesday the 3rd, we had FOMC. I took one trade at 10 o'clock. I took puts at 10 o'clock right here. Popped up and came back down. So when I broke below this area right here, I think it was 270 underneath 470 is where I grabbed it. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Traded Ideas room on the 3rd, so puts into 470, which is down here. It did break on the first candle, but yeah, I picked 470, and then I didn't take anything right away. I waited. I was gonna wait for FOMC, but we had this big pop up here from the 10 o'clock news. Then it got slammed, and that's when I just said, screw it, I'm going to jump into puts. So I grabbed the 47.10 puts at 640 and ended up dumping. So I ended up going from 640 to 1120. So it ended up being a good play. Then I sat out for FOMC, and I took the FOMC strangle play that I always take. I took the 420 puts. The 47.20 puts and the 47.20 calls. The puts I got at $6 and the calls I got at $5.80. The first move was the wrong one. The calls went from 580 to 850, and then the puts went from $6 to 14.50. So that ended up being a really, really good play. Kind of crazy volatility for a non-Powell day, but the FOMC days without Powell are usually the best anyways, because they're just smoother. Now, next I took, let's see, puts at 246, which is right here. No, 246. I took it up here. I'm quite sure why I took it up here. I probably should have taken it down here. This is, it took it at 236. So I took it. No, I took it up here. Kind of crazy to do on FOMC to take it up there, but I did. So yeah, I'm not quite sure why I took it up there. It's kind of crazy because what if when you have these monster green candles like this, FOMC can just keep going. I mean, we had the first move, the fake out, which was the fake pop, then it dropped, then something happened, and it just raged again. You'd think that Powell was talking at 2:30, but he wasn't talking. It just popped really big right here. Then, some reason I grabbed it up here because usually when it does do this kind of a move where it drops and pops, it keeps going. So, me grabbing puts up here was probably kind of crazy. I probably shouldn't have done it. I probably would have been safer for me to grab it down here underneath 469.80 or even underneath 470. But for some reason I grabbed it up here. So yeah, I grabbed the 47.20 puts at $4, and they went from $4 to $12.40 right there. So I'm not quite sure why I grabbed it up here, but I did. But it ended up being a real good play. Even if I grabbed it down here, it still would have been a really good play. So I'm not going to complain about that at all. Just kind of wondering why I took it up there the way I did. So, but it is what it is. Let's see, SPY calls over 469.50 on Thursday. 469.50 is up here. I was thinking the green day after we had a few red days in a row. I mean, we don't usually have that many red days in a row on SPY, especially it's been going crazy. So I was thinking maybe a dead cat bounce today on Thursday, not today, but this particular day. And first 2-minute candle, green. I took calls over higher day. It dropped a little bit, then it finally popped. So I took the 47.10 calls when it broke higher day. And they went from, let's see, the 47.10 calls went from 770 to 13.10. So it ended up being a really good play. Then I took calls again at 10:44, which was right here, kind of a bull flag right here. Nice big green candle. Pull back when it broke over this 470 area. This is where I grabbed calls. I grabbed the 47.20 calls at $6, and they went from 6 to 10.70. Another good play, so I'm not going to complain about that. And I took calls at 1:30, which is right 1:30. Where's 1:30? Right here. I'm not quite sure why I took it there. Maybe thought it was going to bounce. I get the two bodies right there. It's kind of crazy to be taking it right there. I don't know why I took it there, but clearly it was a loss. I took the I shouldn't have taken that. And this is a nice bear flag right here and VWAPs right there. I probably should have waited in 20 EMAs pushing down. Probably not a good idea. I probably should have waited for a VWAP break or over 469.60. That would have been more ideal. It would have been over the 20 EMA, which is the light blue line. But no, I grabbed calls right here. Got over zealous, something, I don't know. So I grabbed the 47.10 calls of 570. And they went from 570. I stopped out at 3. So, yeah, that was not a good play. I should have waited. I should have taken puts down here. There's a clear bear flag right there. But I did take puts underneath at 315, which is right here. Got this nasty red candle right here. Then when it pulled back up, I grabbed it. When it retraced on this nasty red candle, I got it back up here. I got the 47.05 puts at 410, and they went from 410 to 790 right there. So that ended up being a good play on that. My first loss for the week, my only loss for the week, so I'm not going to complain about that at all. Trade ideas on the Friday the 5th, SPY calls on 468, which is right here. 468, did I say? So it was up here. Off this area right here. So I think when I posted that, it was at 910, and this is 910 right here. So yeah, that's why I picked that 468, because we're already rated at 467. So first 2-minute candle is green, kind of a doji green. It did break when he got back up to higher day. I took the 47.10 calls, started to reject a little bit, then it finally took off. So the 47.10 calls went from 640 to 1660. So that ended up being a really strong play. Nice big FU setup right here. A couple of big strong green candles, a red candle, and boom. These FU candles are just really good when they work. Yeah, they haven't been really working that much lately. They've been kind of traps over the last month or so. And I think that they work really good in directional moves, but in sideways choppy action, the FU subs just don't work. So yeah. Then it took puts at 1120, which is right here. You can see higher day, rejected higher day, came back down, tried to break higher day, it didn't, it came back down. So when I broke below the bodies of these candles right here, below 469.40, that's where I grabbed puts. The 47.10 puts at 750, and they went from 750 to 1160. That ended up being a good move. And then I took calls at 128, which is right here. And I see why I did this. Kind of the same move I did last time. I thought maybe I fell into the same trap. No, I didn't. Nasty red candles, bear flag or bear pennant, whatever you want to call it, right here. And I was probably looking at calls. I didn't. I waited. And this was probably where a lot of people were buying calls right here. But once they started to make a little bit of a U shape right here to make it look like it was curling, they flushed out the stops. So people were buying calls here. They took out the stops. When they took out the stops and they came back up over 467.60, I took calls. I took the 46.95 calls at 640, and they went to 640 to 1220 right there. So that ended up being a good move. You got to watch out for these. These are telltales that something strong move is going to happen in the opposite direction. When they start to look like a base is forming, then all of a sudden it flushes through the base, then it ends up going the direction it was starting the base on. So you got to watch for that because they love to do that stuff. And right here it starts to look like it's going to pull back. Then people buying puts at VWAP, then they flush out the puts, then they actually drop it right there. So you got to watch for these little telltale tricks right here because they do them a lot. And so I took puts into 239, which is right here. Right when I went to VWAP, tried to continue, but it didn't. It failed. And when it got below 468 is where I took it. I took the 4,700 puts at 560. And they went from $5.60 to $16 in that drop right there. So that ended up working out pretty good. So stayed patient this week, waited for the right setups, waited for the right plays. Just a very, very good week. So hopefully the next week will keep being strong. We'll keep having good strong plays. Volatility is going up, and hopefully we'll get some range. I hate the dollar range. It's hard to play, but I can deal with this 466, this $4 range, $3 to $4 range. I can definitely deal with a $3 to $4 range. Definitely makes it easier to trade. So that's going to do it for the recap, and thanks for watching.